Okay, I want to talk to you about something really important. The stock market right now is in a position it's only ever been in a couple other times in history. And really, to compare it, actually, right now, the only other time in history was 1929, really, that I can think of that the stock market has been like it is right now. The Dow Jones. It's in a position where it's in 1929, they thought that the Dow Jones was going to keep going up forever. A lot of them, and because it went up and up and up and up and up and up and up some more. And that's the same position that we're in right now. But when the actual fall actually come and the stock market started to crash of 1929, the stock market started to crash. It fed on itself. And what I mean by that is once the panic took hold, then that panic fed the more panic. Panic feeds more panic, and people start to then panic, and they just want to dump stocks, and there's no telling them not to dump stocks, and they don't understand. They're just like a stampeding herd of cows. They don't know why they're running, but they're all running. And this is what will happen with the stock market. And we're in that position right now where it's so oversold that we could have a 1929 style crash. We could quite literally have a 1920. The stock market is that oversold. Now here's the thing, and what I'm getting at with this, and I'm going to put out a warning right now, because there is a potential this could happen. I'm not saying it will happen, but it could happen. Tonight they're going to have a debate in France between Marine Le Pen and Emmanuel Macron. And Macron is if you don't know who he is, he's the candidate for the elite, for the European Union, for Brussels. And he's their golden child. He's a Rothschild banker, or he was a Rothschild's banker, and he's probably still working in working together with the oligarchy, working together with the forces that want to keep France under their thumb, and he's not the most charged candidate. Let's just put it that way. He's out of his element right now, to tell you honestly. Honestly, the guy, he's out of his element. And putting him in front of a crowd with Marine Le Pen is a possibility that she is going to expose him for what he really is. That is, he's going to want to run under the nearest rock and hide. And so, but if she wins that debate, this last week she moved up 6 points in the polls. She moved over him. She caught him 6 points in 1 week, and they never were debating. One debate could move her ahead 5, 6, 7, 8 more points. Who knows? And are the polls skewed? Are the polls skewed in favor of Macron? The same way they skewed the polls in America to make the polls in favor of their golden child in America, who is Hillary Clinton. But you remember what happened there? Well, they're all expecting Macron to win this election, just like they were expecting Hillary to win the election in the United States. You all know what happened there. Well, here's the thing is, the stock market's got a Macron win priced in. Now, if Marine Le Pen were to win, this would have a really negative effect, more than a negative effect on the stock market. And the reason why is because Marine Le Pen wants France to leave the European Union. And they were quite certain that this wasn't going to happen. But now, if Marine Le Pen gets in and she wants to leave the European Union, Italy, the five-star movement's planning on coming into power in Italy not too long in the distant future. And they're almost a certainty. They're almost a shoo-in to get in. I mean, they're 8 points ahead in the polls, and they're already setting up their government, basically. the five-star movement in Italy. They're already so sure that they're going to be voted in Italy that they're setting up government already. They're putting their laws in place and everything. The five-star movement, and they want to go back to the. I think Italy has a lira, the currency. Anyway, they want to drop the euro. They want to be out of there. And so the ramifications of all this are extreme, not just on the stock market. So if you've seen Marine Le Pen win, and the vote's just a couple days away, if she wins, this could have a profound effect on the stock market. Now, if a fall were to start to happen, now I gave a stock market prediction a couple days ago, and I said that the stock market was going to go along basically sideways for the next 2 months, but with a slight downward trend. And that's what I saw. But I made a stipulation in there on that if Marine Le Pen won the election, that it would change everything. I made that stipulation, and I still stand by that stipulation. And that's what I'm getting at right now. Because if she goes in, she could start if she were to win this election, Marine Le Pen could actually start something in the stock market. And once they get panicking, they're like a stampeding herd of cows. And with the stock market as overloaded as it is right now and oversold, they could create something that could get out of hand. Could actually get out of hand. And we could actually have a stock market crash if Marine Le Pen gets in. This could get out of hand. At the very least, a steep correction if Marine Le Pen were to get in. That's what I'm predicting. This would be a steep correction at the very least. But the stock market is a powder keg right now. It's like ready to explode. There's just so much energy stored there in a negative way after this massive bull market we've had for all these years. It's like a table, the stock market. All these years we've had it standing. And now the legs are being pulled out from underneath that table by the Federal Reserve. Because what built that stock market up was quantitative easing. Every time they would go into a new quantitative easing, QE1, the stock market would go up. Then they'd stop the quantitative easing, and the stock market would level back off again. And then quantitative easing 2, and the stock market would go up. And then when they quit it, the quantitative easing, the stock market settled back down again. And then Operation Twist, the stock market would go up. And you get to the point, these surges up. Already it was inflated, and then you got it was absolutely beyond bizarre. It was inflated so much when it was up around 18,000, and then you got Trump came in and just all this exuberance about Trump's got elected, and the stock market went up, and now it's pumped up about 3,000 points higher than it was when Trump went in, and it's just all on nothing but hot air. And you've got the Federal Reserve pulling the legs out from underneath it. And now if Marine Le Pen gets in, this could just be the trigger. And once the panic selling starts, and the stock market drops a few thousand points, and then everybody starts to panic, then you just get a free fall. It's just a total free fall. And so some of these guys have been waiting for this, and they've predicted it, like Harry Dent. For one, he's predicted some absurd numbers like the stock market go down to 3,000. Well, guess what? I'm not laughing. Seriously, if you get an all-out crash, I mean, don't laugh, but the stock market could get cut in half. And don't laugh at Harry Dent, because if you get an all-out panic, don't laugh at what he said. It could come true. And of course, he would be jumping up and down with his hands up above his head. Also, it's not just Harry Dent. There's other deflationists out there. They'd be jumping up and down with their hands up above their head saying, I told you so! I told you so! But what I'm going to tell you right now is that period of deflation would be very short-lived, because they would come in, the government, and they would scream the sky is falling. And in fact, this is what they want. This is what they want. They want this deflation. They want to make Harry Dent correct. so that then they can come in and they can feed all their banker buddies, and they'll turn this thing around. Because, listen, I'm going to remind you what was said by Ben Bernanke. He said, we can always stop deflation. He said, if I have to, he said, I'll fly over in a helicopter and I'll dump money out of the window in $100 bills. And they're right. If they produce enough money, and there's no limit to how much money they can produce. They can produce as many dollar bills out there as there are leaves on the trees. And they will. Don't think they won't do that. And they'll feed that money to their banker buddies. This is all a racket. We've been being played. We're being played. We're being played by professional thieves. Career criminals. These guys that work for the Federal Reserve and work for all these banks and stuff, they're career criminals. And their lackeys that work for them in the Fed and stuff are just a bunch of lawyers. That's all they are, is a bunch of lawyers. All these lawmakers are all a bunch of lawyers. That's all they are. They're a bunch of, they've never done a day's work in their life. They've just went through school, endless school until they're about 40 years old, and then they join up with these things like the Fed. And they're just a bunch of lawyers. They don't know. They really don't know what they're doing. It's all economic theory to them. It's nothing practical. There's nothing practical. They haven't learned any practical knowledge. They don't have any practical knowledge in their head. And they're just being controlled by the bankers from behind the scenes that actually own them. The Federal Reserve is privately owned. Who do you think owns it? It was a bunch of bankers that went down there to Jekyll Island and put the Fed together originally to begin with. They're the owners. They still own it. And this is what they want to do. They want to bring the economy down on Trump. They don't like Trump. They didn't like him from the beginning. They didn't want him in office. And they didn't like his rhetoric. They didn't like him saying he's going to drain the swamp, referring to them as the swamp. They're in power. And they think that he has the audacity to say he's going to remove us. They're out to get him. They're out to get him. Simply put, they're out to get him. They don't forget. They don't forget. They don't forgive. And they're out to get him. They're going to get him yet, but they're standing back. They're patient. They're standing back, and they're saying to themselves, if we go in too early and we go to get him too early, the people will realize that it's not him. They say, we got to wait a little while. We got to wait 4, 5, 6 months. So that he'll take the full brunt of the blame for the economy going down. And Trump's on to them. He can smell it. That's what they're planning. He can smell it in the air that's what they're planning. And he's saying to himself, I got to somehow slip out from under and make it look not like I did it, but they're doing it. And they're saying, well, we got to put the blame on him. And he's saying, I got to put the blame on them. And they all know it's coming. They all know it's coming. We're the ones that don't know it's coming. It's coming. Listen to what Trump said before he got elected. He said, folks, this is a big fat bubble. Well, the bubble's going to pop, guys. The bubble's going to pop. And we're the ones who can't see it coming. And the biggest thing that's going to pop is the bond market and the stock market. And when this pop comes, it's not necessarily going to be like it was before when the gold and silver took a brunt hit. Gold and silver this time just might go in the opposite direction. They might go up when everything pops, the stock market pops and everything. Don't think that gold and silver, when the deflation comes, is necessarily going to have to go down, because it's a coiled spring right now. Silver right now today, with the silver price in the $16 range, with the prices of fuel, now they were running just about the same prices as all-in mining production cost, back when the price of silver was like $14. But back then, gas was $30 a barrel. Now gas is pretty near $50. That's almost double the cost of fuel. And diesel has went up in price since then. Since when back when it was down And that's equal to, it is probably equal to right now at $16 and change silver. It's probably equal to back when it was $14 for the miners, and they were at cost back then. They were having a hard time. They were struggling, and so that means is the miners now, not the prices dropped when it was up around 18. The miners had a little bit of room, very small margin, small. But now that the prices dropped down to $16, I think that margin for the miners is pretty much gone. Again now, and it's back to what the equivalent of what it was when it was 14, because the price of fuel was cheaper when it was 14. If you're getting what I'm saying, if you understand what I'm saying, for the miners. And mining production started to slump because they weren't making any money. This is why it always progresses about 2 years ahead or a year ahead of what's happening actually in the market. So the low prices we're seeing now will translate into mining production a year from now or 2 years from now. It'll translate into a slump of mining production. It always takes about 2 years ahead. And so if we get a boom in the price of silver, and silver goes way up, and gold goes way up in price, then the mining production will increase, but 2 years into the future. You see? But it's getting hard to make those increases in mining production anyway. It's getting harder and harder, and the reason why is because they've mined all the best ore out. Look, I had the chart up the other day just showing you guys, and the mining production was 13 ounces per ton there back in 2005. Now it's down to 7 point something. That's like cutting it in half. And so you're not going to mysteriously all of a sudden have a miracle happen and they can go back to 13 ounces per ton. That ain't going to happen. It's been mined out. It's gone. That cheap ore, the cheap silver's gone. The stuff that they could get out of the ground real easy is gone. And now they're going through the 7 ounces per ton. What do you think it's going to be 5 years from now? Probably 5 ounces per ton. And they'll be happy to have 5 ounces per ton. Well, oil prices by then, do you really think that they're still going to be cheap like they are right now? West Texas, they'll mine all the oil out of the ground in West Texas, all the cheap oil. They'll be into more expensive oil in West Texas then. And the Saudis then, once they get that grip on it and they get West Texas done, they've finally made West Texas succumb once the Saudis got what they want. And then they're going to raise the price. They'll jack the price way up. That's what they'd love to do anyway. The only thing that's holding it down, oil right now, is West Texas. If Saudis get complete control over West Texas, and it's over, boys. You're going to see high oil prices, and a demise of the dollar, and all of this is coming. All of this is coming, and you just got to wait for it. Be patient. The problem is it's taken so long. It's drug out so long. People think it's going to last forever. People think that the cheap oil is going to last forever. They think that the stock market's going to stay high forever. They think all this stuff is just going to continue on the way it's always been. Wrong way of thinking. Every day we're getting closer to the crisis. And the crisis this time is going to be massive. You thought 2008 was bad. 2008 was just a speed bump compared to what's coming. So anyway, I've talked enough. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next article.